Hey guys, it's Chicken Jockey, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the main ingredient that makes up the world of Minecraft, and of course that is the blocks. More specifically, we're going to be taking a look at how the Minecraft blocks can work in builds. Pretty much every block in the game can be used in some way to make a build that looks good. But some blocks can be much harder to work with than others, and that's why today I'm going to be sharing with you guys what I think are 10 of the best blocks to use in Minecraft building and decorating. We're going to be taking a look at the block's texture, shape, and how they work with other blocks in build palettes. Just to clarify though, this is not a top 10 list. The order that I'm going to put the blocks in is not the order of how good I think the blocks are. I'm not going to be comparing the blocks to each other. I'm just going to be explaining why exactly I think these blocks are great for building, and I'm going to be sharing ways that I like to use them. So I guess without any further explanation, let's jump right in and discuss the 10 best blocks for Minecraft building and decorating. So the first block that we're going to be looking at today is the Spruce Trapdoor. I mean, all trapdoors are really good for building in Minecraft because they have a really small shape, and pretty much any block in Minecraft that doesn't have a 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter shape is very valuable because you're not going to find too many blocks like this. But anyways, Spruce Trapdoors specifically are, in my opinion, the best trapdoors in the game, just because they have great coloring and a great texture. They look kind of like the sides of barrels. I think that they were used to make some sort of barrel pattern before barrels were introduced into the game. They just have a really nice texture in my opinion, and they work with so many different types of palettes. As you can see right here, I built this house on stream. It started out with a terrible palette, but I was just able to slap some spruce trapdoors on there as shutters, and the build looks better instantly. So inside this house, I also use these spruce trapdoors quite a bit in the interior. I used them to kind of create the arms of this chair, the back of this chair. I use them to create the sides of this shelf. The Spruce Trapdoor overall is just a very versatile trapdoor. It's good with so many different types of palettes, and it can be used in exteriors and interiors with ease. One of my favorite things that you can do with the Spruce Trapdoor is make a crafting table look much better. You can just stick a crafting table right here, and it looks kind of ugly, as you can see. But if you surround it with some spruce trapdoors, not like that, but like this, it kind of masks the ugly crafting table texture, and we can just put a pot and a flower up there, and it will be a nice little decoration that we can use in an interior. I just think that spruce trapdoors are very good covering for blocks. They're just good for so many things. The next block we're going to be looking at is actually a new one that was introduced in the 1.17 snapshots. Now this isn't in the game yet, but it will be when the cave update comes out. And that is the copper block. This is actually multiple blocks. It's more of a type of block. If you go in your creative inventory and search up copper, you're going to get all these different types of blocks. Now, the copper block to start with has a very, very good looking texture. In my opinion, it has one of the prettiest textures that we have seen in Minecraft so far. It's got a really nice color, it's got some really nice shading, as you can see right there, and I think it works pretty well in builds. As you can see, I use it for the exterior of this build, and that brings us to copper's first unique property, and that is weathering, I think it's called. Copper can age the more it's been in a world. When the Minecon live announcement for the cave update came out, it looked like the copper was going to age very quickly. But Mojang took some suggestions from the community, and now it takes forever to age, which does make it a little bit harder to get this nice semi-weathered look, or this nice fully weathered look, but it definitely adds more reward and realism to this aging. Anyways, you can do something to copper called waxing, which is, I think you do something with honeycombs and copper to kind of keep the state of the copper, so you can use that to get a particular color for your builds that you really like. So overall, I think that copper just has a really nice color and so many different types of colors. So on this build, I used it for the exterior, but actually the interior has walls almost completely made out of copper. Now, as you can see, copper has somewhat of a strong texture when it's in its original form. It's a very bright orangish color, and it's kind of prominent in this room. So I think it's important to note that copper is really going to pop in builds. So it might not work together with too many different blocks, but I think it's going to be a great main block in the palettes of a build. The war weather copper is similar in that it pops out, but it has a very different greenish, bluish, turquoise texture. So it's going to work together with different kinds of blocks. But again, it does pop out a lot. Overall, I think copper is going to be very, very good in building, solely because it has a really great texture and it has so many different types of colors at different ages. The next block we're going to be looking at, in my opinion, is a very, very underrated block that came with the 1.16 Nether update. And that is Soul Soil. Soul Soil is kind of like the non-sinky version of Soul Sand. When you step on it, you don't sink into the block and go slower like Soul Sand. But it has somewhat a similar texture, just without the creepy faces in it. Sort of like the copper block, I think that Soul Soil is just a very, very, very pretty texture. In my opinion, one of the best looking textures in all of Minecraft. It works very well as a flooring block. It has this nice carpety look. I've used it as an interior flooring for my first starter house in Silver Lake Survival Season 1. And I just think it's a very, very good standard building block for its incredibly good looking texture. But there's another very, very cool, unique feature that this block has. And that is Soul Fire. If you light this block on fire, it will get this Soul Flame that only appears on top of Soul Sand and Soul Soil. But Soul Soil works kind of like Netherrack does for Orange Fire. It keeps this blue fire burning for an infinite amount of time. It will never go out naturally like it will on Soul Sand. This gives off a very, very different feel to the standard Orange Fire, and you can use it to create different types of looking fireplaces, and this actually looks very hideous right now, because I'm just building this on the fly. Don't ever build a fireplace like that. That's terrible looking. I'm not making a very good point here about how to use this blue fire. But my point is, you can use this to create a very different, more cold feeling in rooms when you want some nice animated fire. And I think that is a very, very valuable decorating tool on top of just the very good looking texture of Soul Soil. The next block that we're going to be looking at is a very, very unique and versatile block overall. And that is the banner. The banner is, at first glance, just a very nice and unique shaped block. It's really thin, which is, again, a rare thing in Minecraft blocks, as I said before. Just any oddly shaped block is going to be very valuable in building. But the real usefulness in banners comes from their customizability. First of all, banners come in all 16 different dye colors, and yes, I just counted this just to make doubly sure that I was getting that number right. But on top of that, looms can be used to make super cool things with banners. You can just stick your banner in here, and you can stick some dye in here, and you can pick any one of these nice little patterns, and you can build them on top of each other to make truly unique designs. And this is a terrible design, but you get my point. This is incredibly customizable. There are thousands upon thousands of different types of banner patterns. You know what, after I make this video, I'm going to go up and look exactly how many banner patterns there are possible, but I know there are tons. I'd actually highly recommend going on the Minecraft Tools website. There will be a link in the description, and there will be a link in the pinned comment probably. And there are tons and tons of player-created banner designs on there. You can post your own banner designs, look at other people's banner designs, and I think that's just a really nice place to look for unique banner patterns you can use in your builds. Anyways, customizability is not the only great thing about banners. Another thing is they have a very unique hitbox. In fact, I think when you place them on the ground, this top part does not have any collision detection at all, which is very, very useful for things like this, where I put the top of these banner blocks that are under here into these spruce stairs that I use for the couch, and I use that to create some kind of pillow effect. Anyways, thanks to XXCookie XX, I think that's your name, for showing me this design, and Goat Gamer as well. This is a really cool trick that I had no idea about, and that just goes to show how many cool things you can do with banners. Just like when you place banners on the ground, this bottom part of the banner has no collision detection or hitbox at all, and you can use that to create a really nice chair design that BOO came up with. And that is placing a bed right here that sticks into this banner. This creates the illusion of that banner being the back of the chair and that bed being the bottom of the chair. Now when you go right up to this spot, you can kind of see the bed behind there. But I just think this is a really nice and unique chair design, and it just goes to show how much banners can do. I just think that these are one of the most unique and most versatile blocks in Minecraft. They're definitely on the upper end of these 10 blocks. One of the best, even out of the 10 best. But there is one more block that I can say for sure that I think is better and more versatile than banners. And that is glass. Glass is used in almost every single build you're gonna create. It's the best transparent block in all of Minecraft and comes in so many different shapes and sizes. It can be used to create so many cool effects that no other block can. And its sheer versatility as a building block is unmatched by any other block that I can think of. Glass looks even better if you're using Optifine connected textures, and admittedly, without it, it does look somewhat ugly, but that doesn't detract from the sheer versatility that this block provides. Glass is such an obviously useful block that I can't really pinpoint any specific tricks that you can do with it. You could make a window using iron bars or fences, but overall, glass is the best transparent block on the game, and if I had to pick a best block in all of Minecraft, I would pick glass simply because it can do things that no other block can ever replicate, and pretty much every other block in Minecraft has some sort of substitute. The next block that we're going to be looking at was introduced in the 1.14 Village and Pillage update, and that is the barrel. The barrel, in my opinion, is one of the single best decorating blocks that we have, and it's particularly good for interiors. The barrel's texture makes it especially good for use as a counter or table. As you can see right here, I use the barrel as a little spot to stick a flower pot and an acacia sapling on here. And I use this so widely in interiors, it's probably my most used interior block, just because it is so useful for spicing out rooms. One of my favorite things to do with the barrel is make this very shelf design right here. I originally came up with it in Painecraft. I think it was my latest Painecraft episode, actually, and I think it was a little bit wider than this particular design. Overall, I think barrels are just very useful for combining functionality and looks. They are basically the better version of the chest and the more compact version of the chest, and in my opinion, they're the #1 block for an interior decorator's toolkit. The next block that we are going to be looking at was also introduced in the 1.14 Village and Pillage update, and that is the lantern. If I had to sum up the lantern in one sentence, I'd just say it's the better version of the torch. For me, it's definitely the no-brainer pick for any kind of lighting decoration. It's just a very solid and well-textured light source, and in my opinion, works very well if you're trying to build any type of rustic build. Lanterns are actually very good for just sticking a lamp on top of a barrel or on top of a beehive, just because they give off the vibe of a nice little countertop lamp, and I think they make pretty much any Minecraft room look better. Overall, I'd say that lanterns are my #1 choice for a lighting decoration block, simply because they look nice. I can't really say much more than that. The next block that we're going to be looking at was added into the game long before I even started playing Minecraft, and long before I even remember hearing about the game, and that is the stone brick. To put it simply, the stone brick is sort of the vanilla building block. It doesn't have much of a strong texture or much of a strong shape, but it's a very solid choice that fits into almost any palette. It's one of the most widely used building blocks I have ever seen in Minecraft, and I think that's for a reason. It works with so many different types of palettes, and it looks quite nice. I don't particularly love the texture. It definitely wouldn't be one of my picks for my favorite building blocks, but the fact that it's widely used by a lot of skilled builders, and it ends up looking very nice in those builds, is worth noting. I can't really pinpoint any tricks to use with the stone brick. All I can say is that if you can't think of a building block to use in your build, if you can't think of any way to start, just start with the stone brick. It's a really safe pick, and it's the standard building block that I've seen used in more builds than any other block except maybe glass. The next building block we're going to be looking at is another one that I don't personally use too often, but it is very irreplaceable for certain build styles and themes. And that is the sea lantern. To put it simply, the sea lantern is the best full block type of lighting. It's got a nice, clean, minimalist texture, and it's got a nice white on top of turquoise look. It flows so well into modern builds, and especially futuristic builds. And aside from end rods, it's one of the only lighting sources that are even going to fit into those styles. Sea lanterns are important because they're the only lighting block that you're going to see flow seamlessly into a build. Because let's be honest, glowstone is just a rather ugly block overall, and shroom lights only work with very specific build styles. Overall, I can just say that sea lanterns are one of the best blocks in your toolkit for building futuristic and even modern houses. The very last block that we're going to be looking at was introduced in the 1.16 Nether update, and it quickly became popular among the Minecraft building player base, and that is Blackstone. Blackstone is important because for a long time, players have had a shortage of dark and black colored blocks, and this is the perfect block to fill that need. Blackstone has so many different variants. It's got the polished Blackstone, which in my opinion does not look quite as good as the original texture. It's got the polished Blackstone bricks, which are the only black bricks we've ever had in Minecraft, I believe, so that's very important. And it's even got button and wall variants. Now again, I can't really pinpoint any specific tricks you can do with Blackstone. All I can say is that if you want a build with a dark palette, Blackstone is your number one go-to block because it has a great texture, it's got so many different variants, and it's just going to make your build look quite nice. Much better than if you just went for obsidian. Well, there you guys have it, the 10 best blocks for Minecraft building and decorating, and we have them all right here. But there are quite a few more blocks that I think are especially good for building that didn't make it into this list. So I'm going to be doing some honorable mentions of blocks that I think are very good but not quite as good as these. And the first one is the lightning rod. The lightning rod is another new shaped block and it actually has a new hitbox as well. I think in building it serves a similar purpose that fences do, but it has a really nice texture and an even stranger shape than fences. And I just think that it works very well in decorating in general for interior. As you can see, I didn't use fences, and I do think that fences actually work better for this shelf design than the lightning rod did. But the lightning rod, it's definitely going to come in handy for all different types of decorating. The next one we're going to be looking at is the beehive. The beehive is another great table block similar to the barrel. I don't think the texture looks quite as good, but it's definitely a lot more subtle, and it's not going to stick out as much as the barrel does, so it's definitely going to be useful to add some variety to your interior designs. The next one is Basalt, a personal favorite of mine. I just think it has a really nice texture, really nice color, and it's especially useful for making pillars in houses, as you can see here, especially the polished variant. However, I think that this variant works really well in ruined build styles. The next one is logs in general and stripped logs especially. When stripped logs came out in the 1.13 Update Aquatic Beta for Bedrock Edition, me and the bot both agreed this is a terrible and ugly block, and for a while I just didn't really like the texture at all, but it has definitely grown on me. I really like using it especially for the walls and interiors because it's got this nice wallpaper feel, and there are so many different colors of it that you can use. And also, we've got two blocks right here, smooth quartz and a new one, calcite. These are both very well textured and pretty looking white blocks. They're really good for light build palettes, and this one, the smooth quartz block, is definitely less prominent. It has a less strong texture, but the calcite has this nice marbly feel that I think is definitely going to be useful for other things. Now, I'm sure there are a ton of other great blocks that I'm missing right now, but that's all I can think of off the top of my head. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe and hit that bell for more Minecraft guides and Let's Plays. And also, if you're interested, try to check out my hardcore Let's Play series, where I try to play hardcore Minecraft with a ton of added challenges to make this really difficult and really fun. I've only got one episode out so far, but so far it's been a very fun challenge, and yeah, I'd highly suggest you check it out. There will be a link in the video card above and in the description below. And before you go, please don't forget to tell me down in the comments below, what is your personal favorite block to use in Minecraft building, and what tricks do you like to do with it? Anyways, I guess it is goodbye for now, and I will see you next time. And yeah, I just broke up my house.